thrift store, and they had a bookshelf there, full of books, and a sign that said, all books are 10 cents. So I thumbed through them, and I found this classic, Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare. And when I opened up the cover, I discovered that it was formerly a library book donated to the Goodwill by Kensington High School for Girls. So this used to live in a high school in Kensington. So I thought Julius Caesar and Shakespeare for a dime. So I bought the book, took it home, read it, and thanks to the great footnotes, I finally understood a Shakespearean play for the first time in my life. Read it, put it up on the shelf, forgot about it. 30 years later, I'm watching TV, world news, and people are marching in the streets in Tunisia, Libya, and Egypt, and they're overturning governments and dictatorships by marching in the streets. And it reminded me of when Mark Antony spoke in Julius Caesar's funeral, and he turned the Roman mob against Brutus and the conspirators. And I remember thinking, what words did Shakespeare put into Mark Antony's speech that enabled him to manipulate the Roman mob and oust the conspirators? So I took the book off the shelf, I memorized Antony's speech, I put it up on its feet, rehearsed it, and I loved it. Then I went back and read Brutus' speech to get his side of the story. Loved it, so much so that I decided I was going to go back and learn the entire play, word for word, all 35 characters. So I did. Thank you. Take that as a compliment. So I did. Today, we are going to do Act 3, Scene 2. And in this scene, there are actually 4 main characters. The first character, Julius Caesar, born 100 BC. In battle, Julius Caesar was undefeated. In fact, his military strategies are still, to this day, taught in military academies all over the world. He was a great orator, which was public speaking. He was a great writer of his time. But most important of all, Julius Caesar was the legally elected dictator of Rome, and the people loved him. Second character, Marcus Brutus. Not only was Brutus a senator of Rome, but he was also a veteran of the Roman civil wars who fought against Caesar. But after the Roman Civil War was over, not only did Caesar pardon Brutus, but he also appointed him Roman praetor, making him effectively the second most powerful man in Rome under Caesar himself. But Brutus' biggest fear was that Caesar would crown himself king and thereby end the Roman Republic forever. Third character, Mark Antony. Not only was Mark Antony Caesar's distant cousin, but he was also his best friend and strongest military ally. In fact, Caesar chose Antony to be Roman consul, making Antony the third most powerful man in Rome. And the fourth character in this scene is you. Today, you are going to be the Roman common people. When I step down from the stage, I am you. One of the Roman common people being influenced by the speakers on stage. First, Brutus will speak, and then he will give Mark Antony permission to speak, and this way hope to reunite the Roman Republic. All right, let's set the scene. It's the Ides of March, 44 BC. Julius Caesar goes to the Senate like any other day. Only today, there are 7 senators in front of Caesar, all peppering him with questions to distract him. Meanwhile, Casca, another senator, sneaks up behind Caesar, draws a dagger, stabs Caesar in the neck. As Caesar turns to defend himself, the other 7 senators rush him, stabbing him 23 times, twice in the face. The last to stab, Caesar's words, "Et tu, Brute? Then fall, Caesar." Brutus stabs Caesar. Caesar falls dead on the floor of the Senate. Today, we are at Caesar's funeral. Caesar was brutally murdered. Brutus and Cassius are making their way through the crowd up towards the stage. The entire time, people are shouting at them, "We will be satisfied." Ladies and gentlemen, Act 3, Scene 2, The Tragedy of Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare. We will be satisfied. Let us be satisfied. Then follow me and give me audience, friends. Cassius, Go you into the other street and part the numbers. Those that will hear me speak, let him stay here. Those that will follow Cassius, go with him. And public reasons shall be rendered of Caesar's death. I will hear Brutus speak. I will hear Cassius, and compare their reasons when severally we hear them rendered. The noble Brutus is ascended. Silence! Hear me for my patience, and be silent, that you may hear. Believe me, for mine honor, and have respect to mine honor, that you may believe. Censure me in your wisdom, and awake your senses, that you may the better judge. If there be any in this assembly, any dear friend of Caesar's, to him I say that Brutus' love of Caesar was no less than his. If then that friend demand why Brutus rose against Caesar, this is my answer. Not that I loved Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more. Had you rather Caesar were living and die all slaves, than that Caesar were dead to live all free men? As Caesar loved me, I weep for him. As he was fortunate, I rejoice at it. As he was valiant, I honor him. But as he was ambitious, I slew him. There is tears for his love, joy for his fortune, honor for his valor, and death for his ambition. Who is here so base that would be a bondman? If any, speak, for him have I offended. Who is here so rude that would not be a Roman? If any, speak, for him have I offended. Who is here so vile that would not love his country? If any, speak, for him have I offended. I pause for a reply. None, Brutus, none. Then none have I offended. I have done no more to Caesar than you shall do to Brutus. The question of his death is enrolled in the Capitol. His glory not extenuated, wherein he was worthy, nor his offenses enforced, for which he suffered death. Here comes his body, mourned by Mark Antony, who, though he had no hand in his death, shall receive the benefit of his dying a place in the Commonwealth, as which of you shall not? With this I depart, that as I slew my best lover for the good of Rome, I have the same dagger for myself when it shall please my country to need my death. Live, Brutus, live, live! Oh, bring him with triumph home unto his house. Give him a statue of his ancestors. Let him be Caesar. Caesar's better parts shall be crowned in Brutus. We'll bring him to his house with shouts and clamors. My countrymen, peace, silence. Brutus speaks. Peace ho. Good countrymen, let me depart alone, and for my sake stay here with Antony. Do grace to Caesar's corpse, and grace his speech, tending to Caesar's glories, which Mark Antony, by our permission, is allowed to make. I do entreat you, not a man depart, save I alone, till Antony have spoke. Stay her, and let us hear Mark Antony. Let him go up into the public chair. We'll hear him. Noble Antony, go up. For Brutus' sake, I am beholding to you. What does he say of Brutus? He says, for Brutus' sake, he finds himself beholden to us all. Huh. 'Twere best he speak no harm of Brutus here. This Caesar was a tyrant. Nay, that's certain. We are blessed that Rome is rid of him. Peace. Let us hear what Antony can say. You gentle Romans, be so. Let us hear him. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you, Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered it. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honorable man, so are they all honorable men. Come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious, when that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept? Ambition should be made of sterner stuff, yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious. And sure, he is an honorable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? Oh, judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it come back to me. Methinks there is much reason in his sayings. If thou consider rightly of the matter, Caesar has had great wrong. Has he, masters? I fear there will a worse come in his place. Abide it. Poor soul. His eyes are red as fire with weeping. There's not a nobler man in Rome than Antony. Now mark him. He begins again to speak. But yesterday, the word of Caesar might have stood against the world. Now lies he there, and none so poor to do him reverence. Oh, masters, if I were disposed to stir your hearts and minds to mutiny and rage, I should do Brutus wrong, and Cassius wrong, who you all know are honorable men. I will not do them wrong. I rather choose to wrong the dead, to wrong myself and you, than I would wrong such honorable men. But here is a parchment with the seal of Caesar. I found it in his closet. 'Tis his will. Let but the commons hear this testament, which, pardon me, I do not mean to read, and they would go and kiss dead Caesar's wounds, and dip their napkins in his sacred blood, yea, beg a hair of him for memory, and dying,
mention it within their wills, bequeathing it as a rich legacy unto that issue.
We'll hear the will. Read it, Mark Antony. The will, the will. We will hear Caesar's will. Have patience.
Gentle friends, I must not read it. It is not meet you know how Caesar loved you. You are not wood, you are not stones, but men. And being men, hearing the will of Caesar, it will inflame you. It will make you mad. 'Tis good you know not that you are his heirs. For if you should, what would come of it? Read the will. We'll hear it, Antony. You shall read us the will. Caesar's will. Will you be patient? Will you stay a while? I have our earshot myself to tell you of it. I fear I wrong the honorable men whose daggers have stabbed Caesar. I do fear it. They were traitors, honorable men. The will, the testament. They were villains, murderers. The will. Read the will. You will compel me then to read the will? Then make a ring about the corpse of Caesar, and let me show you him that made the will. Shall I descend, and will you give me leave? Come down, descend, you shall have leave. A ring, stand round, stand from the hearse, stand from the body. Room for Antony, most noble Antony. Nay, press not so upon me, stand far off, stand back, room, bear back. If you had tears, prepare to shed them now. You all do know this mantle. I remember the first time ever Caesar put it on. 'Twas on a summer's evening in his tent. That day he overcame the Nervii. Look, in this place ran Cassius' dagger through. See what a rent the envious Casca made. Through this, the well-beloved Brutus stabbed, and as he plucked his cursed steel away, mark how the blood of Caesar followed it, as rushing out of doors to be resolved if Brutus so unkindly knocked or no. For Brutus, as you know, was Caesar's angel. Judge, oh you gods, how dearly Caesar loved him. This was the most unkindest cut of all. For when the noble Caesar saw him stabbed, ingratitude, more strong than traitor's arms, quite vanquished him. Then burst his mighty heart, and in his mantle muffling up his face, even at the base of Pompey's statue, which all the while ran blood, great Caesar fell. Oh, what a fall was there, my countrymen. Then I, and you, and all of us fell down, whilst bloody treason flourished over us. Now you weep, and I perceive you feel the dint of pity. These are gracious drops. Kind souls, what? Weep you when you but behold our Caesar's vesture wounded? Look you here, here is himself, marred, as you see, with traitors. Oh, piteous spectacle. Oh, noble Caesar. Oh, woeful day. Oh, traitors, villains. Oh, most bloody sight. We will be revenged. Revenge about, seek, burn, fire, kill, slay. Let not a traitor live. Stay, countrymen. Peace there. Hear the noble Antony. We'll hear him. We'll follow him. We'll die with him. Good friends. Sweet friends. Let me not stir you up to such a sudden flood of mutiny. They that have done this deed are honorable. What private griefs they have, alas, I know not that made them do it. They are wise and honorable, and will no doubt with reasons answer you. I come not, friends, to steal away your hearts. I am no orator, as Brutus is, but as you know me all, a plain, blunt man that loved my friend, and that they know full well that gave me public leave to speak of him. For I have neither wit, nor words, nor worth, action, nor utterance, nor power of speech to stir men's blood. I only speak right on. I tell you that which you yourselves do know. Show you sweet Caesar's wounds, poor, poor dumb mouths, and bid them speak for me. But were I Brutus, and Brutus Antony, there were an Antony, most noble Antony. Why, friends, you go to do you know not what. Wherein has Caesar thus deserved your loves? Alas, you know not. I must tell you then, you have forgot the will I told you of. Most true, the will. Let's stay and hear the will. Here is the will, and under Caesar's seal, to every Roman citizen he gives, to every several man, 75 drachmas. Oh, most noble Caesar will revenge his death. Oh, royal Caesar, hear me with patience. Peace ho! Moreover, he hath left you all his walks, his private arbors, and new planted orchards on this side Tiber. He hath left them you and to your heirs, forever common pleasures to walk abroad and recreate yourselves. Here was a Caesar, when comes such another? Never, never, come, away, away, to burn his body in the holy place, and with the brands, fire to the traitors' houses. Take up the body, go fetch fire, pluck down benches, pluck down forms, windows, anything. Now, let it work. Mischief, thou art afoot. Take thou what course thou wilt. How now, fellow? Sir, Octavius has already come to Rome. Where is he? He and Caesar are at Lepidus' house, and thither will I straight to visit him. He comes upon a wish. Fortune is merry, and in this mood will give us anything. I heard him say, Brutus and Cassius are rid like madmen through the gates of Rome. Belike they had some notice of the people, how I had moved them. Bring me to Octavius. End of scene.